Hey guys, welcome to this tutorial. I'm the Tempster, and in this tutorial I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make your own fire in the Blender game engine. This is similar to the fire you would have seen in the grenade launcher explosion sequence I made with the big mushroom cloud and stuff. And it'd be also the same technique I used for the fire in the FPS environment, if you guys have seen that. So it looks pretty cool, and it's fairly easy to set up, but either way, let's get started. So you're going to have to open up Blender, or just click File New. And then we're going to, straight away, not going to delete the cube, we're going to give the cube a name and call it Fire Spawner. Then we're going to go to the top here, change it to Blender Game, change this to GOSL, and I think that should be it for now. We're going to need a texture for our fire, so we're going to go to CG Textures. And we're going to go and get some fire. Now, this website's really good, highly recommend it. You can use anything from it commercially. It's quite nice. You just need to make an account, which is free, and then you can use all the textures for your games and stuff. So go from textures to fire, and then to flames, and then scroll down and pick a texture you like, or select this one in the bottom corner here, which I selected. I just found that worked out best because of the overall shape and how it was sort of even and stuff. But either way, you'll click on that, and so click on it to download it, and open it, and you'll notice that the background is black. The reason for that is, one, it's a JPEG image, and two, I think that's just how they made it, but we can easily get rid of that by opening up GIMP. And GIMP has a really useful tool. So if we go File, and then Open, and then go to Downloads, and go down to, I think it's Fire, so Flames, this one. And then we're going to open that up, and then we're going to go to Colors, Color to Alpha, and then you're going to click in here, drag this to black, and press OK. Now, if you can see in the preview, what that will do is it will remove all the black background, and then you're only left with flame and nothing else. So press OK for that. Now here's the, don't click overwrite, because you're just overwriting a JPEG image, which means that it doesn't have any alpha channels, so it's just going to make the background white or something, and it's not going to help. So what you're going to have to do is just click Export Image instead of Overwrite, and then delete JPEG to PNG, and then click Export. I've already got it, but I'll replace it either way. Export it out, and then once you're done with that, you can close it, once you've exported it, and then we can move back to Blender. So start off, press Shift S and cursor to center, then go into layer 2, or you can just press the number 2 on the top of your keyboard. Then we're going to press Shift A, and we're going to add a plane. This is going to be our fire, or one type of flame from one side. We're going to go into the Materials tab, give it a new material, no specular, no back facing, and transparency down to nothing. Going to go into Texture panel, give it a new texture, image or movie, UV, and open up a and open up the one we got, the one we exported out, the with alpha behind it. Then scroll down and you will see all these boxes which you can tick. We just want alpha, and if we go into textured mode here, it will show nothing. That's because we haven't unwrapped it, so when you press tab, you unwrap. Then what we're going to do is drag that back over there, move that across by putting your mouse in the corner and then dragging across. Then UV image editor and select the flames. Now you notice it's sort of funny, sort of like sideways, so we're going to press R90 and then press enter, and then we're going to have to press SX to scale on the x-axis, and then SY, and just fit as much of the image in as you can without tiling it. And then press tab to go out of edit mode. Now we've done that, we can drag that back into one window, and you'll notice there's all this weird black stuff. There's no flame, there's no nothing, so you have to go into the materials tab, and just for now click shadeless. Actually we can probably just keep it at shadeless. And then what you're going to do once you've got your first flame texture is press Shift D and then GX, move it over here. Now what we need to do is in the with the fire it's making, the spawn is going to be constantly spawning. Actually Shift D GX, we'll make one more. It's going to be constantly spawning these three in this order like this, and then yeah, constantly spawning them every certain amount of time we set. And if we were to make them exactly the same, it would be very noticeable. So we're going to have to change each of them. And the easiest way to do that is go on the UV image editor, press tab, and then scale it a bit and make it sort of, I don't know, unique compared to the others, so that you could stretch it out a bit here and there. So that one's fine for that one. I might even rotate it a bit like that. So I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to go at that last one over here. I'm going to press tab and actually RX90 or RX90 again to rotate it 180 degrees. So now it's the opposite of the first one. I'm also going to press S and make it a bit bigger. In this window, press S until we got something nice like that. I'm going to also SX in the UV image editor window to stretch it, and until we've got something nice like this. You can add more than this, definitely feel free. You'll get a lot more variety, it will look a bit better, but it's a little bit more work. Also for the logic bricks you have to add in a couple more bits and pieces, but it's probably worth it. But I'm just going to do 3 just for tutorial's sake. So we're going to have to call this one Flame 1, second one Flame 2, and the third one Flame 3. So we're going to select Flame 1, press tab, go into face select mode, and then Shift D RX, and then Shift D RX again, until we got something like that. So you can look at it from this angle and it'll still look a little bit like a flame, but it won't look like just a plane, so it's sort of got a little bit of dimension. But yeah, so we're going to do that for the second one as well. Press Shift D RX and Shift D RX, and that should be fine. And same thing for the last one. What you could also do to rotate this and stuff is go along here to the bottom with this curvy tool and select which direction you want to turn it in. I'm not used to that, so I just like using commands, but yeah, either or. So now we've got our 3 fires set up. We're going to also have to go into the material for all of them and select object color. This allows us to animate the alpha and is quite handy, especially in making stuff smooth out when it's fading instead of just disappearing. So now we're going to go to layer 1 to our fire spawner, and we're going to click up the top here and go to game logic. Then we're going to drag this window in because we don't need the Python module or text editor because we're not doing any scripting. So we're going to go here and add an always, set it to true and a frequency of I think like, let's just say 10 for now. We're going to give the cube a property of, let's just call it counter, integer, and we're going to select the number of pieces of fire we have. So if you have 5 or 6, then you put that number in, but I only have 3, so I'm going to put 3 in. And then over here I'm going to go to add a property and join those two together, and I'm going to add counter -1. So at the frequency of 10, so I think that's like a 1/6 of a second, it's going to -1 off the counter. What we also need to do is change the animation frame rate to 60 to make this a bit more accurate. After you've done that, we can go and add a property on this side and do when counter is equal to 3, then add an and controller and edit object, and we're going to select flame 1, and we're going to give it a lifetime of 60 just because we'll be animating the alpha after, and that's usually a good sort of time rate. Then we're going to add another property when counter is equal to 2, and then we're going to add an edit object as well, join those two up, select flame 2 and 60 for the time, and add one more property, counter, then 1, and then go down to edit object and join those two together, select flame 3 and times 60, and then we're going to add one more property and do when counter is equal to 0, then add a property on this side, assign counter to 3. Make sure this one's on assign and the rest are on add. Yep. So assign counter to 3. What that does is when this thing's counted and that's all the way down to 0, then when this is 0, it's going to add 3, and it's just going to loop it around continuously. So let's press P and go into textured mode and press P. And we have fire spawning, but it's constant. It doesn't look very good, and it's the wrong way around. So to fix the first wrong way around one, we're going to press RY90 and press P, and it's the right way around. Now what we need to do is select each flame and add an always on true and a motion of, we're going to have to go into the local axes, so my -x, so just 0.1 I think. We can turn that down if we need to later. So do that for all of them. Just add a motion and -1. and an always sensor as well on true, and join all those up, and that should, we'll see how that works. Go back to layer 1 and press P, and we have some fire, yeah. But it looks okay, but there's still a lot of improvements that can be made. So the first one which I can see is it's moving a little bit too high just for a flame. So we're going to go to layer 2 and we're going to set this to minus 0.03 for all of them. Actually, I might even just minus 0.02 for this one and minus 0.03 for this one, just for some variation. And that works. But now we've still got the harsh sort of disappearing, there's no fading, no anything, and this is when the object color comes in handy. So what we're going to have to do is go on the bottom here, drag yourself up a timeline, go to frame 0, and then go to the object settings, so where you named it, and right click in here, insert keyframe, then go to frame 60, drag that down to nothing, and then insert keyframe, or no, right click and insert keyframe. Now do that for all the other ones, so drag back down to the bottom, right click, insert keyframe, frame 60, left click, drag alpha down, right click, insert keyframe. And do that for the last one, make sure you drag it down to frame 0 for the full alpha and frame 60 for the invisible. So now we'll go to layer 1 and we'll press P, and nothing will be happening. And you'll be like, what? I just animated everything. But don't have to worry, you just click on the object you have here and you're going to have to select action, because what you keyframed is an action or a an animation that it can play. So we're going to have to select each action for each flame. So this was flame 3, so select flame 3 action and end frame 0. And then do the same for flame 2, join that up to there, add flame 2 and end frame 60, and one more for flame 1, doing that to there, flame 1 and end frame at 60, and there we go. That should be all of that done. And go back to layer 1, press P, and it's working, well, some of it's working. Maybe if we turn this up a bit more. So I think we got one texture going. Okay, turn true off. I'm guessing that's the problem. There we go. Now if we select the cube and go to the physics tab, no collision and invisible, and then press P, we have some nice looking fire, but there is still sort of some problems, like it starts off a bit big, at least for the bigger flames. So we're going to have to go to frame 0 and press S to scale, and then press I to insert a keyframe and insert scaling. that means you also have to go to frame 60 and then press S again and scale it big, maybe not too big, and then press I and so scaling again. Then select our other flame, do the same thing as well. Maybe a different size, insert scaling, insert scaling, and we'll do it for the last one as well. You can scale it any way you want to, so that could be lopsided or not lopsided. And then press I, insert scaling for the last one as well. So now when we press P, they all fade and scale. So if we go to layer 1, press P, then we have some okay looking fire, but it sort of looks a little bit funny, especially that one that's scaling huge amounts. I'm guessing that's us. Yeah. Let's go to frame 60 and then press S and then I, insert scaling to bring that down a bit. What we're also going to do is, yeah, if you do notice, that does look a bit funny, and the reason for that is if we had a plane here and then add that in, that looks a lot better than if you put it underneath and can see the fire spawning and all of that, which doesn't look too great. There's also one more thing we can do, if we go into layer 2, and is select each one, and when they spawn they do have that, they just appear suddenly and float upwards, so we can give it a bit more of a softer impression and go to frame 10 here, and then left click, drag the alpha up to full, and insert keyframe, and then go to frame 0, drag the alpha to nothing, right click and replace keyframe. What that will do is like fade it in and then fade it out like that. That just takes the harshness off a little bit. It sort of, yeah, makes it a bit nicer to look at. So we're going to do the same for the second one, drag the alpha to full, insert keyframe, go to frame 0, no alpha, and replace keyframe. And we're going to do the same here, alpha to full, replace keyframe, or insert keyframe, and no alpha and replace keyframe. Now if we press P, works a bit better. One of the textures is still scaling funny. This one. So we'll go to frame 60 and press S, make it a bit smaller. What we can also do is, if you notice, the harshness of the colors is, I don't know, they're quite intense. So if we turn down the alpha to 0.9, because all of these are linked to the same material, they'll all have their alpha turned down, so even at their brightest, they won't be as intense as they were before. So now if we go to layer 1 and press P, then we have a nice looking fire. What you may also notice is the edges though that it gives at the sort of, well, I don't know, where it's spawning. How we made it so if you can look at it from this angle, it will still look like fire, and if you look at it from this angle, it will still look like fire. But the floor sort of really gives that illusion away. So what we can also do with the fire spawner is add another always sensor and add a motion and a rotation on the Z axis, and then press P, and it's gone and done the wrong axis, so we need to go to the local, and it's actually on the X axis we need to turn it, so turn Z to 0 and select X and then press P, and that will give it a bit more of a randomized effect by spinning and yeah, making it look a bit cooler. So there's the fire done, but that's not finished. You don't have clean fire. That's only for the blue stuff. We've got to have some dirty smoke as well. So we're going to press Shift D, GZ, move this fire spawner up, and actually we're not going to do that. We're going to press Shift A, add a whole nother cube, set the physics tab to no collision and invisible. Now we're going to name this one Smoke Spawner. And there's quite a few tutorials. I think there's one I even showed you how to make smoke. There's the grenade tutorial, we use smoke, and I'm just going to go over it again one last time. But I'll also leave a texture in the description just in case you really can't be screwed to watch any more tutorials. But anyway, we're going to give the smoke spawner an always sensor and an edit object, and we don't need a counter for this. The reason for this is it's only spawning one object. It's not a variation like this. So yeah, we can just have one always sensor and set that on true, and something I think like 9 was good. We'll probably have to turn that up. Then we're going to go to layer 2, press Shift A, add another plane, and then press S to scale it up a bit. And then we're going to go into the materials tab, add a new material, no specularity, no back facing, transparency on, and no alpha. We're going to give it a texture, image or movie, UV, and we're going to open up our smoke we made, or go in the description, there'll be a download link to this smoke I painted in GIMP. It's not spectacular, but you guys can't be stuffed making your own smoke, feel free to use it. So I just press tab and then U and then unwrap, and so tab U unwrap, and that will unwrap the plane and paste the texture on top of it. When you are painting smoke textures, make sure you leave an edge around the outside. Helps sell the effect and doesn't show edges, which look quite nasty, in my opinion, if you do have them. So what I think we need to do now is go down and give it a object color. Then we're going to go to frame 0 and right click object color, insert keyframe. We're actually going to go to frame 10 and then drag that to 1 if it isn't already, and then right click, insert keyframe, then frame 0 and no alpha, and right click and replace keyframe, and then go to frame 60 and turn the alpha down and right click, insert keyframe. What that's going to do is it's going to give us the same sort of smoothing, the same smooth sort of fade in effect like the fire, and it works quite well. So just over 10 frames. We're also going to go to frame 0 and scale it down a bit, and press I, insert scaling, and then frame 60, and smoke usually can be scaled up quite a large amount, but insert scaling for that as well. We're going to call this one smoke, but because we haven't and we've animated it already, it's going to pop up as its old name, which is plane 001. So I have to click that and give it an end value of 60, then add an always sensor, join those two up, and give it a motion as well, joined up to the same and controller. And I think that will be negative Y, no, negative X. We'll just have to see. So if we press P, and we haven't told it what to spawn, so smoke, and the time of 60, press P, and it's spawning out sideways. I'm not going to press RY90 because I'm lazy and can't be bothered changing the motion. But now we have smoke going in the right direction. Now you might, if you notice, it does look a bit sort of the same. And it looks a little bit too sort of repeated, too fast, I guess. So something like that's a lot better. So turning the frequency up will increase the time delay. What you can also do to make it sort of go in a bit smoother, or join in a bit smoother, is drag the smoke spawn down a bit further into the flame, and they'll blend together a lot nicer. So yeah, that's, we can do one more thing and go to the layer 2, drag this around until you can see stuff, and press tab and then Shift D RX and Shift D RX to give us that dimension again. This means we can look at it from here, we can look at it from here. It looks funny from there, but you know what I mean. Either way, you can rotate it a bit more to make it look not so funny. So that's how to make fire in the Blender game engine. You don't have to have smoke if you don't want. You can also, if you think the smoke's sort of a little bit thick, you can go into the texture panel for the smoke and turn the alpha down to maybe 0.7. That'll make it a little bit less thick. You can also muck around with it until you've got something that you sort of like, but yeah, for now that's how you guys can make your own fire in the Blender game engine. So I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial, learned something from it, and I'll hopefully be posting the part 3 of this sort of flame and fire and smoke and explosions tutorial series, which will be the mushroom cloud. So that should be coming soon. Rate the video, comment, or anything like that. It's greatly appreciated. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.